I totally agree with everybody talking about Pete Rose. His case needs to be brought up again.
Now, again,
steroids is a suspension.
But
this cheating scandal isn't anything.
But there's rules in place for steroids. And there was, so I'm not taking any credit for this. This is all on Dan Patrick's show. He was talking about the same thing. And in order for it to change, they'd have to change the rule that he was suspended for.
Okay. He was suspended as a manager.
Okay. Still in the, oh, well, and I think it doesn't say anything about being in the Hall of Fame either.
Yeah.
So like this whole time, if
he could have gone in.
Yes, if I
but
understand.
People are just stupid.
Yes.
I mean, punish him as a manager. There's managers that go in as Hall of Famers, and there's players that go in as Hall of Famers.
And I think I also heard too that the committee would have to vote him in anyways. Now, I mean, he can't. He's not.
As they should.
Yes.
How can you freaking sit there and say the best hitter of all time, arguably, it's a freaking record that will never be touched, ever. By the way, when we met him, he's got 26 records that nobody knows about. How can you sit there and say he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Now, okay, he did what you're not supposed to do, which is bet on baseball as a manager after he was done playing.
But do you believe that? Do you believe it was just as a manager?
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Okay.
But he was caught as a manager.
The crime's not, or the punishment's not any different from player to manager, I wouldn't think.
No,
you do it either way.
You do it either way. You're supposed to be booted, but
they're saying that in order for him to come back in, you'd have to eliminate that rule or reword it or change it or something. Whereas the stealing signs, there's nothing in the rules.
Yeah, no.
So there didn't need to be punishment.
But like we talked about last week with steroids, heck, I could take steroids 3 times before I'm out of the game.
Yeah. No, I know.
Guess what? I got free agent year coming up.
Yeah, like Lap said, it's a slippery slope.
Right? But that's where it comes down to Pete Rose. As a baseball fan and player, it's hard knowing how hard you work, right? Playing baseball, getting to that level, that you're going to take something away for what he did as a manager. And I'm not saying what he did was right. It's in every locker room. It's in every clubhouse that it says, do not bet on baseball. You know, it says that in Spanish and English in every clubhouse. But he was a manager. I'm sure you talk to 100% and there's a time or a place that somebody did something they weren't supposed to do. There's nobody that had the cleanest career ever, you know? But like you said, there's rules for certain things and not for others. So, but I still think it needs to be brought up again that, you know, it's been 30 plus years, man. Like, these kids don't even know Pete Rose. He needs to go in before our generation, and the last generation that knows him and got to see him play is gone.
I mean, even Trump tweeted it out.
He was spot on. He was spot on.
I agree. I'm not saying he doesn't belong there. He does. To me, it's a no-brainer.
But it at least needs to be brought up again. Like, okay. You know.
We'll see what happens. I think this just happened within the last week or two, right? The petition you did. And then we missed this because we had been away from the mics. Jeter's Hall of Fame vote. I know you had some thoughts about that too.
I don't think anyone should be unanimous. And that's why I really was mad that Mariano was unanimous. And don't get me wrong, Mariano should be unanimous. Derek Jeter should be unanimous. King Griffey should be unanimous. Chipper Jones should be unanimous. Johnny Bench should have been unanimous. Sandy Koufax. I can go on and on. Tom Seaver. All those guys should have been unanimous. So why is Mariano unanimous? You know what I mean? Why did he get a unanimous? When there's people out there, when Griffey had 3 votes, right? Griffey had 3. It was the closest ever. They said there's guys that don't vote guys in on the first ballot or whatever, you know? Okay, so then it changes the next year? Like, that just doesn't make sense. If you're that guy that doesn't vote for somebody, then you shouldn't vote for anybody ever on the first ballot. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way I feel. And that's where people are like, oh, what are you saying that for? No, I think a lot of guys should be unanimous. That's the thing I'm getting at. But if these guys before him aren't, why is Mariano Rivera?
Well, yeah, it goes back to, we've talked about building your team.
Yeah, if you're going to build a ball club,
you're not going to build
with Hall of Famers.
Not around a closer.
Your first pick's not going to be Mariano Rivera.
No.
I mean, you're going to take starter. You're going to take, Griffey. You're going to take Jeter, Chipper Jones. I mean, Johnny Bench. You're going to take those guys before you take Mariano Rivera. I mean, that's not taking anything away from his career. That's not taking anything away from his stats.
He's a Hall of Famer. You can't take anything away from any of it. That's not the point.
And that's why there shouldn't be a percentage on votes. It just causes and again, the people voting are freaking idiots that didn't play the game of baseball. You know, it's stupid. And that's where I'm not saying Jeter shouldn't have been unanimous, but Rivera ruined it for everybody. He did. Because if Rivera didn't get unanimous, Jeter, it wouldn't have been an issue.
Because it doesn't.
Because right after Rivera went unanimous, it's like, okay, who's next to go unanimous?
Some people it doesn't make sense too.
It's got to be Derek Jeter. Well, yeah, I agree. Derek Jeter should have been unanimous, but there's been somebody that hasn't voted for somebody. And then it's like, there's one guy that didn't vote for Derek Jeter. Well, why did you not vote for Derek Jeter, but you voted for Mariano? You know what I mean? That's the question I would have for him. I'm not mad at you that you didn't vote for Jeter.
Yeah, but it didn't explain it. What was your thought process?
Yeah. And that's what frustrates me is I hate the percentages, man. Nobody should know anybody's vote. Nobody should know a percentage. You should either be in or not. In or not. Then don't tell any of us what percentage they are. Just, are they in or are they out?
Or take random ballots. You know what I mean? Just if there's 400 and something people that vote, take 200 of them randomly and then use the majority.
Yeah.
And use that percentage. That way you don't know whose votes you're actually taking. Here, and the other thing back to Pete Rose, like I was going to say, if you took his numbers, you had to do the question mark on people's players' faces.
Oh yeah.
And they have their numbers and like, who's this? If you did that with his numbers across pretty much anybody's and say
100%,
is that guy
Pete Rose
in the Hall of Fame? And then if his, sure enough, his face would pop up and you would say, you'd be yes.
Yeah.
It would be a yes. We've talked about the Hall of Fame voting too with the writers, and I don't know how that.
Who are they? Who are you? Who are you to vote on somebody that you never played the game? Who are you to have that? Just like with the awards, who are you to say who's the best player in the game? Why aren't the players voting that play with them every day?
Yeah.
Why aren't the players voting for the Hall of Fame? I think if you played in the big leagues for a certain amount of let's say a full year in the bigs, you should have a vote on the Hall of Fame ballot.
Certainly if you have a pension, if you play your 10 years.
Well, that's 10 years for sure.
There's no question.
No question you should have a vote. But I think even a percentage, if you played in the big leagues for a year, you're a big leaguer, you should have a percentage of a vote. Like that should matter because you might have played that year with one of the guys that's on the ballot, and I think that would be more realistic and you would have more guys get unanimous in. You would, I think, if you get 10 votes, because there's writers that don't even vote for 10 guys. How did 2 guys get in this year?
I don't know.
I saw the list. There should have been at least 3 or 4. I mean, let's get real, bro. Barry Bonds needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes. Not gonna argue.
Not needs to be. I mean, yes. Was he doing something all of us can see? It was never proven.
No.
He doesn't have anything next to his name.
I don't think Roger Clemens does either.
I think he admitted to it.
I don't remember that.
I don't know either.
I could be wrong.
But the funny thing is that whole era was on some shit.
Well, and we talked about people that benefited way back, 4 or 5 months ago when we started, of guys that benefited from that era that are in the Hall of Fame, like Bud Selig. He was the commish then.
Yeah, baseball was dying.
So it's sometimes it's hard to swallow. I like with the Pete Rose thing, we'll see. And the Jeter thing, I was just like, why is it really like it's a big deal? It bothered people that he wasn't.
Yeah.
And I was more like, I don't really care, but I was like on the line with you. Like, well, my only thing is if Mariano was, then Jeter should have been.
Should have been.
That was my only beef with it. The fact that he wasn't, whatever. He's no doubt a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody questioned that.
No.
Even when he retired. But the fact that you have one guy that was a no doubter across the board for everybody, then Jeter was that caliber, if not above that. That's all.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think there was an argument there.